Thank you very much. We've had some great meetings. We had dinner last night, President Erdogan, and I think it was really, I would rate it a 10, maybe a 12.
A bit of a small palace.
12. That's good. Everything is beautiful. We've had some very good meetings, in particular with Turkey and trade, and now we're meeting with everybody today. As you know, we're going to have a very big meeting with lots of leaders from, I think, every country, right? Every country showed up.
They're all there.
NATO country.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a couple that aren't in NATO that would like to be in NATO, I guess. But it's been very successful. It's been a fantastic meeting. So I'll be having a news conference after we're finished today at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I assume most of you will attend. But a lot of things have been determined, and some things haven't, frankly. We attacked very powerfully last night the very dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night, very hard. I would say 20 to 1, 20 times tougher. I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years, and they're a bunch of scum. You want to know the truth? They're scum. And so we don't like them. I don't like them. And they're evil people, and it's the denuclearization of Iran. And we're going to denuke it. We're not going to let them because they're crazy, and they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they go around killing people. They've killed thousands and thousands of our soldiers. They've killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They had the roadside bomb, Soleimani. I took care of him, first term. And that was a big thing, because I think it probably would be a lot stronger had he been around, because he was a bad guy, but he was an evil genius, but a bad guy. And he was the father of the roadside bomb. The roadside bomb is a bomb that goes on when you're driving your little vehicle around, and it goes on and you have no legs, no arms, and no face. And they've killed thousands and thousands of people. Even the SS Cole was theirs. You remember that disaster. So I don't like them at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of others. And they don't know. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But they're bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago. Like, how about 47 years ago? So they've been in trouble for 47 years. And we took out their first set of leaders. We took out their second set of leaders. They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list. I saw a thing this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists. And so far, I guess I've been a little bit lucky, but that maybe doesn't last very long, because that's the way it goes. But we have great people. But these are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer. They're cancer. And you know what you do? You got to cut out cancer early. Man, that's the way I feel. And I want to thank Mark. He's been a great Secretary General of NATO. I'm not happy with NATO because of what they did with Greenland. And I'm not happy with NATO because of the fact that they didn't want to help us with the #1 state sponsor of terror. That's Iran. They were unwilling to help us. Now, in all fairness, I didn't speak to Mark about it. I think if I did, it might have been different. But we didn't need help. But I was really testing. I wanted to see whether or not they'd be there. And the answer is they were. I spoke to Germany. I spoke to France. Spoke to UK. Spoke to Italy. I didn't speak to Spain. Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits. Okay, we don't want anything to do. Watch them come running back. Oh, they'll come running back. They treat this man terribly, and this man's a good man too, great man. They're lucky they have him. But Spain doesn't agree to anything, and you shouldn't carry them. I mean, you sort of automatically carry because you're protecting an area, so they're there. So they probably figure they have to protect us, right? But we don't have to. We don't have to trade with them. I don't want to do any more trade with them. All right? Sure. Take it immediately. Don't even talk to them. They're hopeless. Bad people, because, you know, they have everybody else going and paying and working in Spain. In particular, Spain. There are a couple of others, but in particular, Spain. They're open about it. They're hostile about it. And let's see how hostile they remain when they call up and they, please, we want to trade with you, sir. We want to trade with you, sir. They make so much money with us, and we're going to see that they make a lot less. I want no business with them. So, other than that, we're having the big meeting in a little while, and I'm going to relate my problems. Greenland is a big problem for us, and the other big problem is the fact that when we wanted them, we didn't want them badly, but we did say, if you want to join us, and they all said no. But when they could have, they weren't there for us. And we've been there for them. We spent over $1 trillion over the last short period, trillion, in order to protect these countries from Russia. And has nothing to do with us. We have an ocean, but it's been a long-term thing, and they haven't treated us right. And Mark understands that. He understands that. And we're going to work something out, I think, one way or the other. But we've been treated unfairly. We pay disproportionately. We had a time when we were paying 100%. We were paying 100% of NATO, and yet a lot of the countries weren't paying anything. But there was calls made a few weeks ago. I spoke with the UK, and the Prime Minister said, well, we don't want to help you now, but we'll help you when the war's over. I said, that's not good. And likewise, I spoke to Germany. They didn't want to help. Spoke to France. They didn't want to help. Nobody wanted to help. Some of the very small countries want to help because they're the most vulnerable. I mean, that's the only reason they want to help. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to be going back together, many of us together. And again, I want to say, despite the fact that I'm very upset with NATO, that we pay far, far too much, billions and billions of dollars too much, because it's unfair, because we're protecting them. So we protect them, but they're not there for us. Think of it. Doesn't work. But I want to say this is a great leader. They're lucky they have him. It's their biggest asset. You want to know the truth? So, Mark, would you say a few words?
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Mr. President, dear Donald. Let me start with Iran. We discussed it last night at the Presidential Palace. I think what you did, degrading the nuclear capability, crucial for Israel, the region, for Europe, degrading the ballistic missile capability of Iran, crucial for Israel, for the region, for you, for the whole world. And then trying to bring this to a peaceful end. They attacking ships yesterday. I think what you did last night was absolutely necessary. It was a very strong response. And I'm with you on this. It's really important. When it comes to NATO, what you have achieved, and this is a huge win, and I just want to say this again. The last 2 years, Canada and European NATO nations spending $215 billion more in 2024 and 2025 and 2026 compared to 2024. This is staggering, 258 billion. In the meantime, almost 200,000 jobs in the US being supported by all the investments by countries in the United States in the defense industrial base, buying from the defense industrial base from the US companies. So here you see you have been able to really get them to step up, to do this. And when it comes to Iran, I know you are disappointed. We discussed it a couple of weeks ago. I would say these are isolated cases. 5,000 planes taking off from European airports in support of Epic Fury. It was Europe as one big platform of power projection for the United States, helping with Epic Fury, including countries you mentioned, Germany from day one, France, and many others. We discussed the Bucharest airport, which was closed for a couple of days for commercial traffic because you needed it for Epic Fury, and they were totally
United Kingdom wouldn't let us use the island for 2 weeks, so we had to fly back.
No. So I'm saying you're right. There are isolated
and
cases.
Italy was very bad, having to do with their bases, as you know, and a couple of others. So
but still, generally, 5,000 is huge. And you mentioned Spain. Even you got Spain to pay 2%. They made a huge step in last year. So there's still issues we have to solve. But hey, also even on Spain, I would say they got to the 2%. And I know you have a very strong relationship with the United Kingdom, the King, but also you personally always with Keir Starmer, who is now leaving office. He has now also committed to spend another $20 billion extra, 15 billion pounds on defense. So I would argue without you in this chair, this would not have happened. It is, of course, because of Russia, but also because of you. So grab to win, it's there. You did this. It was The Hague, and now they are implementing. And on Greenland, you and I made a deal in Davos. I will make sure that that deal is step by step being implemented. That you can deploy, if you want, the Golden Dome on Greenland. You have your trilateral talks. Marco is leading them from your side with the Greenlanders and the Danes. When it comes to if they would change their constitutional position in the kingdom, etc. But hey,
I mean, just so they understand, Greenland is very important for the United States, but it's not important for Denmark. In fact, when Denmark was overrun by the Nazis in less than one day, Hitler beat them out in one day, took over. They asked us to take care of Greenland. In fact, we took Greenland, and then stupidly we gave it back. We shouldn't have given it back to them because we're the ones that need it. We need it for protection of the world, not just the United States. And it's very important. It doesn't help Denmark, but it helps us. And it's very important for us. And again, they were defeated very quickly. Denmark was beaten in one day, less than one day, by the Nazis, by Hitler. And when this happened, they immediately switched it over to us. We owned it. We had it. We were taking care of it, and then we gave it back, which is, I don't know why. I wouldn't have given the Panama Canal back either, so what do I know? I certainly wouldn't have done that because China's trying to take over the Panama Canal, and that's not going to happen. So, but I just, it's interesting. I'm very unhappy with NATO, and yet this man is a great leader, and he gets it. He gets it maybe better than some of the leaders.
But also, your allies get it, thanks to you, and that is important. Yeah. I could not do this without you.
It's too bad Biden didn't do it, or Obama.
Hey, but you are here now.
Obama.
And you and Trump 45 and Trump 47. In total, more than $1.2 trillion. I call this the Trump trillion.
No, it's true.
$1.2 trillion extra spent by Canada and the
And I'm not only blaming NATO. They got a free ride. And
not
if
anymore.
Biden had any brain, which he didn't, he would have said, you got to pay more. And same with Obama. Two bad presidents. But they could have asked, and you would have done that too. It would have been, who knows? But who knows if they would have done it.
Happen, and it is a huge.
It should have happened years ago, and it couldn't. But Obama didn't do it, and Biden didn't do it, and frankly, Bush didn't do it either.
But you did what Eisenhower started trying to do, equalizing the Europeans.
He tried, yeah. Eisenhower tried.
And all the other presidents, none of them were successful. You're the first one. It's your win. Your win in The Hague.
That's why I like him.
And you win now.
That's why I like him.
This is true. Without you, this would not have happened. Really,
do you have any questions?
Mr. President, is the ceasefire over? Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
These talks won't resume after we get through the funeral proceedings.
What?
Does this mean that talks with Iran will not resume?
I don't care. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. They're a bunch of lying guys. I do it my whole life. That's all I do is deals. My whole life that's how I became president. I guess that's a deal too, right? But I made a lot of money. I had a lot of great success, tremendous success. Everything I did, I was successful. And I deal with these guys, and I say, this is from a different school. They're liars. They're cheats. They're sick people. They've hurt their people. They killed 54,000 people as of now that were protesting. When people say, how come they haven't taken over? They can't take over because they're dead. They killed them. Nobody's going to take over. They have no guns, and the other side has machine guns. And they're killing them. The press doesn't report it. But they're bad people. They're bad people. And frankly, I don't want to waste my time with them. Now, I'll let our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it. I don't like these people. You know that? I like him. I like the leaders. I think all of these leaders.
Great. And they love
I think they didn't treat the United States fairly for many years, but that's okay. But they're sane, rational, good people. Most of them. I don't like a couple of them, to be honest with you. But there are a couple I don't like much. But I like Erdogan. I'll tell you, I like President Erdogan. He rolled out the red carpet. He's terrific. You know, he could have gone into the war. A lot of people saying, like with Bibi, I like Bibi. I think Bibi was a terrific wartime prime minister. But Bibi said rough things yesterday about Turkey and Erdogan. And I said, you know, I spoke to him. I said, he could have gone into the war because he doesn't like Israel much. And he doesn't like Bibi much. And he didn't go because of me. And this is a military power. Millions of soldiers. Turkey is very strong. They have a lot of our best equipment. They're trying to get the F-35s. But he didn't go in. He wanted, he would go in. If it weren't for me, he would have gone in. And he would have been on the other side. Even though I don't think he likes the other side either, because he happens to be very sane and they happen to be very crazy. But so I think, you know, they treated us right. I think China treated us right. I was with President Xi and I said, I hope you're not going to go into the war because we don't want that. You know, he gets 50% of his oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and he gets more than 50%. And he never went into the war. He didn't supply him equipment. You know, he was great. I'm a big fan of President Xi. A lot of people say, oh, why? You know, I watched a couple of people critical of the fact that TikTok is so bad. It's so dangerous. It's so horrible. They're spreading all these rumors. And the numbers came out yesterday. You know who's number one on TikTok? I am. I'm number one on TikTok. And all I talk about is how bad communism is, right? They say, oh, it's terrible. They're spreading, but I'm number one. And I listen to Gordon Chang. I like Gordon Chang, but he's always like negative. Oh, China's so terrible. They're so terrible. And TikTok is so terrible. But I'm number one on TikTok. I have like 4 billion views or something like that. So I don't know. People have to get the priorities straight. We have had a really good day. We're going to have another good half a day, and then I'll see you later, and we'll talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Guys. Thank you, press.
His Excellency, Mr. Edi Rama, Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania. His Excellency, Mr. Luis Montenegro, Prime Minister of the Portuguese Republic. His Excellency, Mr. Andrej Babis, Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. His Excellency, Mr. Peter Pellegrini, President of the Slovak Republic. His Excellency, Mr. Janez Janša, Prime Minister of the Republic of Slovenia. His Excellency, Mr. Ulf Kristersson, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Sweden. His Excellency Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic. His Excellency Mr. Nicușor Dan, President of Romania. His Excellency Mr. Karol Nawrocki, President of the Republic of Poland.
Geldi.
His Excellency Mr. Gitanas Nausėda, President of the Republic of Lithuania. His Excellency Mr. Kristen Michal, Prime Minister of the Republic of Estonia. His Excellency Mr. Rob Jetten, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. Son Excellence Monsieur Luc Frieden, Premier ministre du Grand-Duché de Luxembourg. Her Excellency Ms. Kristrún Frostadóttir, Prime Minister of the Republic of Iceland. His Excellency Mr. Jonas Gahr Støre, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Norway. His Excellency Mr. Miloko Spajic, Prime Minister of Montenegro. His Excellency Mr. Péter Magyar, Prime Minister of Hungary. His Excellency Mr. Rumen Radev, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria. Her Excellency Ms. Gordana Siljanovska-Davkova, President of the Republic of North Macedonia. His Excellency Mr. Zoran Milanovic, President of the Republic of Croatia. The Right Honourable Mr. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. His Excellency Mr. Bart de Wever, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Belgium. His Excellency Mr. Pedro Sanchez, President of the Government of the Kingdom of Spain. His Excellency Mr. Edgars Rinkevich, President of the Republic of Latvia. Her Excellency Ms. Giorgia Meloni, President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic. His Excellency Mr. Friedrich Merz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. Her Excellency Ms. Mette Frederiksen, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Denmark. His Excellency Mr. Alexander Stubb, President of the Republic of Finland. Son Excellence Monsieur Emmanuel Macron, Président de la République française. the Honorable Donald Trump, President of the United States of America.
Yeah, I'll be looking, and I'll take care of that. Gidiyoruz abi.
Excellencies, may I present your attention for the family picture?
Sağ.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. If I may ask the first row to go down that way. We go down here, please. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
içine mi gireyim? Hayır, mesela şimdi. Hasan abi kapıdan karşı. Bir kamerayı kesersen yaklaşık 4-5 saat.
Sorry. No.
Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hello, good to see you.
Thank you.
Teşekkürler.
All okay, Mr. President?
Good, good. Good morning.
Hepimiz burası.
Sorry, I'll step up. Oh, sorry.
You have enough snacks.
I know. Yes, Mr. Is mijn bubble?
Ja.
Hey, good to see you. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Vice President. Good to see you. Please take your seats, dear colleagues. And a warm welcome to this summit. And without further ado, it is my honor and pleasure to give the floor to our host, the President of the Republic of Turkey. Please, President Erdogan, you have the floor.
Sayın Genel Sekreter,
Distinguished Secretary General,
kıymetli devlet ve hükümet başkanları,
distinguished heads of state and government,
Lahey zirvesinde aldığımız kararlar temelinde
on the basis of our
Avrupalı
decisions that we have taken in
müttefikleri daha
the
yetkin
Hague
birer
summit,
güvenlik sağlayıcısı haline getirmeye odaklanmış.
we have focused
durumdayız.
on ensuring the European
Türkiye olarak
allies to become more
2030
secure,
yılından
better
önce
security providers. As
savunma
Turkey, before
harcamalarımızın
2030,
oranını
we'd like to increase our
%3,5
defense
düzeyine
spending
yükseltmek için
to
tedbirlerimizi
3.5%, and we have already
güvenlik
taken our measures to do
ve
that.
dayanıklılıkla bağlantılı harcamalarda ise
In
şimdiden
expenditures in connection with security and
%1,5'luk
resilience,
bütçe
even now
payına
we have
ulaştık.
reached a budget share of
Böylece
$1.5%.
hedefine
In this way,
Lahey'de belirlenen 2035 yılından
as
5 sene
determined
önce
in the
erişmeyi
Hague, the
hedefliyoruz.
5% target, we aim to
Kuşkusuz
reach this target
ülkemizin
5 years
asıl
before
başarısı
the
savunma sanayindeki
determined time. But
atılımdır.
our main success of our
Üretim
country is
ve
with regards to
ihracat
our move
kapasitesi
in
itibariyle
defense industry. With
dünyanın
regards to production and
ilk 10
export
ülkesi
capacity,
arasına
we rank
girdik.
among the top 10 countries of
İttifakta
the
bize
world.
tahsis edilen
In the alliance,
361
we have been
yetenek
allocated
neredeyse tamamını
361
3
capability
yıl içinde
targets,
taahhüt
and
edilen
almost
tarihinde
all of them will
öncesinde
have been
karşılamış
covered
olacağız.
within 3 years,
İttifakımızda
even before
eksikliği en
the
çok
pledged
hissedilen
date.
hava ve
We
füze
have
savunma
allocated an
kabiliyetlerine
additional budget
çelik
of
kubbe
$24 billion
projemizde 24 milyar dolar
to
ilave
air
bütçe
and
ayırdık.
missile defense capabilities,
Avrupa'daki
whose
en büyük kara ordusuna sahip
likeness is most
ülke olarak
felt in our alliance through our
yeteneklerimizi
Steel Dome
ihtiyaç
project.
duyulan
As a
aşamada
country that has the largest
ittifakın
army in
hizmetine
Europe,
sunmanın
we are in an effort
gayretindeyiz.
to provide
Kosova'da,
our capabilities
Karadeniz'de,
to the service of the
Baltık'ta
alliance at
ve
every
diğer
stage that is needed.
coğrafyalarda
In
ittifakın
Kosovo, in
harekat,
Black Sea, in the
misyon
Baltic
ve
area, and in other
tatbikatlarına
geographies,
katkı veren
we
müttefiklerin
are
başında geliyoruz.
leading among the allies
İHA
that contribute
ve
to the
SİHA'ları
operations, missions, and exercises
gerçek
of the
muharebe
alliance.
alanlarında
As an
başarıyla
ally
kullanan
that
bir
uses
müttefik olarak
the UAVs and armed
tesisini
UAVs successfully
öngördüğümüz
in real
insansız
battlefield,
sistemlere karşı koyma
we
mükemmeliyet
hope
merkezimizi
to have our
NATO'ya akredite etmeyi
Center of
temenni
Excellence for
ediyoruz.
Unmanned Systems
Bu
countermeasures
bilhassa
that we are
hava
foreseeing to
ve
establish to be
deniz
accredited
drone
at
tehditlerine
NATO.
karşı
And I believe that this
mukabele
center will
kabiliyetimizi
support our response
destekleyeceğine
capability,
inanıyorum.
especially against air and marine
Değerli
drone
misafirler,
threats. Distinguished
NATO
guests,
3.0
I would
hedefine
like to
en kısa
especially
zamanda
attract
ulaşmamız için
attention
şu iki
to
hususa
the following two
özellikle
issues
dikkat çekmek
so that
isterim.
we can reach the NATO
Birincisi,
3.0
savunma
target as
sanayi
soon as
başta olmak
possible.
üzere
First of all, starting
savunma
with the defense
işbirliğinde
industry,
müttefikler arasındaki
lifting of
kısıtlamaların
restrictions among allies
kaldırılmasıdır.
in defense
Savunma
cooperation,
sanayi
starting with the
forumunda
defense
bu
industry.
mesajın
And I very much welcome the fact that this message was emphasized by both industry and government officials at the Defense Industry Forum.
Avrupalı müttefikler
Secondly,
olarak kıta
as
savunmasında daha
European
fazla
allies,
sorumluluk üstlenirken
while
ittifakın bütünlüğünü ve
taking on more
transatlantik
responsibilities in the
ilişkileri
defense of the continent,
zayıflatabilecek
we need to
tasarruflardan
refrain
da
from taking
kaçınmamız
decisions and
gerekiyor.
making actions that may
Burada
weaken
özellikle
the integrity of the
Avrupa
alliance and
Birliği
transatlantic
üyesi
relationships.
müttefiklerimize
And here I would
seslenmek
like to
istiyorum.
especially address our
Birliğin
allies that are members
güvenlik
of the European
alanındaki
Union.
çabalarında
azami fayda
Maximum
ancak ve
benefit
ancak
in the
NATO
Union's
ile
efforts in the
gereksiz
field of
tekrarlardan
security can only and
kaçınılmasıyla
only
mümkün
be
olabilir.
possible through
Aklın
refraining from
ve
unnecessary
mantığın
duplications
emrettiği
with NATO.
bir işbirliği modeli mümkünken
Exclusion of allies
birlik
that are
üyesi
not
olmayan
members of the
müttefiklerin
Union, while
dışlanması,
a cooperation model
kısıtlı
dictated by
kaynakların
wisdom and logic is
boşa sarf
possible,
edilmesine
would cause
ve Avrupa'da
limited resources to be
hiç
spent
arzu
in vain
etmediğimiz
and
bir
create an
suni
artificial
bölünmeye
division
yol
in Europe,
açacaktır.
which we do not desire
Bu
at all.
tutumun Sayın Genel
It is
Sekreterin
evident
işaret
that
ettiği
this attitude does not
transatlantik
serve for
savunma
the
sanayi
purposes of
altyapısına
transatlantic defense
hizmet
industrial
etmediği de
base pointed out
açıktır.
by Distinguished Secretary General.
Değerli mevkidaşlarım,
Distinguished
Ukrayna
counterparts,
Savaşı'nda Sayın
in the
Trump'ın
Ukraine war,
barış vizyonunu
I
paylaşıyor.
share
Ukrayna'nın
President Trump's
öncelikli
vision for
ihtiyaç
peace,
listeleri
and
girişimine
I state
desteğimi
my
bildiriyorum.
support to prioritize
Ukrayna'ya
Ukraine
kendi
requirements
milli
list
envanterimizden
initiative.
sağladığımız
In addition to
askeri
our military
desteğe
support that
ek
we're
olarak
providing to Ukraine
bu
from our
el
own
erişimi
national
kapsamında
inventory, we will
katkımızı
continue our contribution
sürdüreceğiz.
within the scope of the Pearl
Ukrayna'yı
Initiative.
desteklerken
While
Rusya'yı
supporting
da barışa
Ukraine, we are
yönlendirecek
also
şekilde
benefiting from
iletişim
our
kanallarımızdan
communication channels
istifade ediyoruz.
to direct Russia
İran
towards
krizinin
peace.
çözüm yoluna girmesinde sabotaj
very much
teşebbüslerine
appreciate
rağmen dostum Sayın
The
Trump'ın
resolute stance
sergilediği
demonstrated by
kararlı
my
tutumu
friend
takdirle
President Trump
karşılıyorum.
in
Diplomatik
ensuring that the
çabalarımıza
Iranian
ilave
crisis
olarak
entered into a
Hürmüz
trajectory of
Boğazı'nın
settlement despite attempts for
mayınlardan
sabotage.
temizlenmesi için
In addition to our
gerekli
diplomatic
katkıyı vermeye
efforts, we are
hazırız.
ready to provide
Bu
required
vesileyle
contribution to
Türkiye'ye
clear the
hedef
Strait
alan
of Hormuz
füzelere
from
karşı
mines. And on this
NATO
occasion,
unsurları tarafından
I would
sağlanan
like to
destek için
express our
Amerika
thanks
ve İspanya
to-
başta olmak üzere
for the support
İlave
provided by
hava
the NATO
savunma
elements against
bataryaları
missiles
konuşlandıran
targeting Turkey,
Almanya
starting with United States
ve
of America and
İtalya'ya
Spain, and
teşekkürlerimizi
also to
ifade
Germany
ediyorum.
and Italy, who have
Konuşmamızı
deployed additional air defense
artırmamızın şart
batteries.
olduğuna inandığım
I
İstanbul İşbirliği girişimi
like to
mensubu
indicate
ortaklarımızın
that
bugün bizlerle olmalarını önemsiyorum.
it is very important that
Orta
our
Doğu'da
partners under
kalıcı
Istanbul
barış
Cooperation
anahtarının
Initiative
iki devletli çözüm olduğunu
whose
bir
solidarity
kez
that
daha
I believe is a
vurguluyorum.
must. And it's very
Özellikle
important that they are
Gazze
here today
ve
with us.
Lübnan'da
And I once
sükunetin
again
sağlanması
emphasize
için
that the key
hepimize
for lasting
görev
peace in the
düştüğünü
Middle East is a
ifade etmek
two-stage
istiyorum.
solution. And I would
Son
like to
olarak
indicate that we all
terörün
have a
tüm
duty
biçim
to
ve
ensure peace, and especially
tezahürleriyle
Gaza and Lebanon.
mücadele
And finally,
konusunda
I
tam
would
bir
like to
dayanışma
remind you
içinde
once
olmamız
again that we need
gerektiğini
to be in full solidarity
hatırlatıyorum.
in fighting
Ankara
against all
zirvesinin
forms and
hayırlara vesile
manifestations
olmasını
of terrorism.
diliyor.
And I wish the
Zirvenin
Ankara Summit to lead to
hazırlıklarında
auspicious results.
emeği
And I'd
geçenlere
like to thank all who have
teşekkür
contributed in the preparations for the
Thank you.
summit. Thank you.
And I want, indeed, whilst the press is leaving, I want to thank you for what you did with hosting this event. It is really huge, to quote somebody at the table. Huge and big. And we do realize what the impact is on Ankara. Because
Now we go.
Thank you.
Now we go, guys. Now we go, guys.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with President Zelensky. We've talked a little while, and we speak on occasion by phone. We had a great talk the other day, I think, very positive. And I think we have some very good stories to tell, what's going on. And he wants to see a settlement, and I think President Putin wants to see a settlement. And usually that means a settlement, but who knows, this is a tough one. But I just, we just had our NATO meeting, and it was a great meeting. You probably heard it was a great meeting. There was a lot of love in that room, a lot of unity. And I don't think it could have been, Marco, what do you think? It couldn't have gone much better. Do you have a have a feeling as to what you just saw?
Very positive. A lot of unity, strengthen that unity.
Yeah, really good. Scott, what do you think?
Yes, sir. All the Europeans, they attributed you to saving NATO, and they want to do what they're supposed to do and do the right thing.
Yeah, there was something very special. And I will say that what they've done with Turkey and President Erdogan has been a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Strong man, good man, and he's done a fantastic job. Every road, everything's perfect. He's from the airport to the destination, everything's been perfect. So we had a really good meeting, and we thought this would be a good time for President Zelensky and I to meet, and we'll see what we can do. But we've actually developed a good relationship. It's hard to believe, right? From the Oval Office to now, I think we've developed a very good relationship. And
this is not the end.
No, this is not. This is going to be the beginning, maybe.
Yeah.
Just the beginning. And you know, the country has a lot of future. It has such great land, such great assets, such great people. And you have a lot of people. I was with a group in Poland, and you have a lot of people in Poland, and which is a terrific country with a really great president. I happen to endorse him, and he's doing a very good job. And they were saying they love Poland, but they really want to go back. You know, you're going to get a lot of people back when this is over. They left some, and they're all. I think they're going to come back. A big percentage are going to come back. So have a good talk, and we're going to see how it all goes. And Mr. President, would you like to say something?
Thanks so much, Mr. President. Thank you very much for this meeting, and we are very thankful, as always, to your support, American support, bipartisan support. Thanks for the invitation to this summit, and I think that I agree with you. We have a lot what to discuss, what to speak about, and of course we are thankful for the Pearl program. And we want to share with you some details what we want to raise during our meeting. Air defense is the priority. The second point, or maybe the first, about negotiations. I think, yes, we understand what to do. It's our estimation what to do, how to bring this, and I hope that we will do, I'm sure that we will do everything to stop this war. Yeah, and I'm very happy that our side began to work on drone deal, and it's very good beginning, and I hope that today I will have possibility to also to discuss with you some very important details. Thank you so much.
Well, we've settled a lot of wars, and this one is the one that I thought maybe would be the easiest. But Putin's a difficult character, and this guy's a difficult character. It's not the easiest thing, and there's a lot of commitment, and there's a lot of love of the countries and everything else. But I think we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks, and we'll see how it all goes. So, do you have any questions?
President Trump, sir. President Trump. With the Iran ceasefire possibly over, can we expect the resumption of full-scale hostilities?
They are behaving very badly, as they have for 47 years. And, you know, we hit them hard last night after they launched a couple of, you don't have to know about this, you got stuff on your mind, but they launched a couple of drones and one rocket, one missile, and at ships, because they were in the strait, which they have every right to be. And so we hit them very hard last night, very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning, we're going to hit them hard tonight. But we'll see how it all works out. No, I'm not happy with them. You know, it's like, for instance, we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because that's what the war is. It's not a war, it's really the denuclearization of Iran. And we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about just that. That's because my whole thing is not about regime change. It's not about, although I think it's regime change when you knock out the first group, the second group, and now you're the, I think that's maybe the ultimate regime change, but that's not what it's about. It's about, we don't want them to have nuclear weapons, and it's denuking or denuclearization, and I think we've made a lot of progress, and they'll get out of the room. We'll talk about it like we're here. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go and have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo. There's something wrong with these people. And for 47 years, they've been the bully of the Middle East, and they're not the bully anymore. They're not the bully anymore. And all we want, it's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's what I'm there for.
President Trump, sir. President Trump.
If they did, they'd use it, and we're not going to let that
President
happen.
Trump, sir.
Daniel?
You've made a career making deals in very challenging situations. Speaking to President Zelensky, speaking to President Putin, in your view, sir, what is the most pragmatic pathway forward to finding a long-term peace deal?
I just think they're going to make a deal. Look, this deal has been in the works for a long time. It's got the pluses, the minuses. They know what it is. He knows what it is better than anybody. And I just think it's sometimes, I used an analogy, and it sounds simple, but it's sort of true. You have two kids in a park, and they don't like each other, and they start fighting. Sometimes you have to let them fight. Let them see that it's tough, it's tough. Fighting is tough. And he's done an amazing job. Look, he's been very effective. Now he's had the best equipment because he's had our equipment, and he's had great. But somebody has to use that equipment, and you have a lot of brave people that are using that equipment. And Russia, it's a big country, but it's a big force. Russia's always been a big fighting force. So it's. But I really believe it's ready. It's very interesting because you'd almost say it's worse than ever, and maybe it isn't. Sometimes with war, and you study war, and I've studied it so long, for years, long before I did this, sometimes it's when it gets the worst. And I don't know that it's the worst right now. It's consistently bad. They lost 25,000 people were lost, kids, young people last month. And we had a month, 35 2 months ago. And I would say more Russians. And but it's just they're people. They're people. And there's actually very little difference between the people. I mean, it's like the Russians and Ukrainian people, and they can get along. But it's a nasty war. Thousands and thousands, mostly soldiers, are being killed. The battlefields, I see pictures, and it's horrible. He thinks it's horrible. We all think it's horrible. And the president wants to get it done, and I believe that President Putin wants to get it done. And that should be a good combination. Thank you.
Mr. President, what is your assessment on Ukraine's strike on Russian oil refineries and military factories?
Where are you from?
Ukraine.
Phrase the question differently, please.
Ukraine delivered strikes on Russian military factories and on oil refineries, and they ran out of gas.
Marco, why don't you answer that, because you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, I think what you're discussing is the ability of Ukraine to reach deep inside of Russia and conduct strikes. Sure. I think that's one of the dynamics that's changed in this war over the last few months, and that is that Russians are finding it more difficult to defend their own airspace. And what we hope that means is that it's going to create the space now to negotiate the end of this war.
It's an escalation, but it's also an escalation that can help lead to an end. And,
Mr. President,
that Mr. Putin might be seeking for the settlement.
So where are you from?
Radio Free Europe's Ukrainian service. I'm from Ukraine.
Okay, good. Because I talked to him. I talked to President Zelensky, and I think that's all I've done. My whole life I made deals. I guess becoming president was making a deal, right? It was like a lot of little individual things. In the end, it's making a deal. And that's what I do. And I do it well, and I know when people want to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal. And I do feel that President Zelensky would like to get back to rebuilding his country as opposed to, having all of this death and destruction. Ukraine has tremendous potential. He understands that. We talk about that. He talks about that more than he talks about the war. To me, I think you might find that more exciting than the war. It's brutal. The other's the beauty of it, I think he'll build a great country. I think he's going to build it. We have a little stake in that country because we have some land in that country, but we have minerals, It's among the wealthiest, it's among the best land anywhere in the world for rare earth. And we have some, we have some rare earth. I look forward to taking advantage of it at the right time.
Mr. President,
Europe to make Patriot missiles in Europe.
He's one of my favorite soldiers. I see him. He's central casting. You, right? You doing okay?
yes, sir.
We see him at meetings. He's good. He's done a great job. Great job.
Trying to do our best.
Yeah. Great hero, actually.
Mr. President, will you allow Europe to make Patriot interceptors in Europe? Are you comfortable with licensing that technology?
About what? No.
Patriot interceptors to be made in Europe.
And you're talking with respect to Ukraine. Well, we're going to talk about that. You know, look, it's a defensive weapon, which I like, better than an offensive weapon. It's the best. So I was saying we have an aircraft carrier, which is one of the most beautiful in the world. It's one of the biggest, the Abraham Lincoln. And 2 months ago, we had 100, I told this story yesterday, we had 111 missiles shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot at the aircraft carrier over a period of about 1 hour. 111 missiles going to a very expensive ship, and every one of those missiles was knocked down. Pretty much most by Patriots, but by other means also, as you know.
Yeah.
Other less expensive means. It's even better when you do that. But out of the 111 missiles, every one of them was shot down. It didn't hit the ship, and bad things happen, right, when that happens. So think of that, over a period of 1 hour, these missiles are coming at you, and every one of them shot down. So I think one of the things we're going to be talking about is, as you know, the companies, we have great power over the companies. Those companies that make the Patriot and make all of the great stuff, the Tomahawks, all of the great stuff. We have the best stuff. Many things. The Patriot's great, but we have many, many great things. You see that with Venezuela. You see it with Iran. Look, Iran has been wiped out. Iran, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, everything's gone. But one of the things I think we're going to be talking about today, a little birdie told me this, about the fact that we'll give them the right to make Patriots. We'll show them how to do it. It's very complex, actually, but you'll figure out the complexity quickly. And we're talking about that, and the company that makes them, which is building now 4 plants, all of our companies will be able to do this in 2 to 3 months. If you order a Patriot, now you have to wait a long time for them. Same thing with Tomahawks. We have a lot of certain equipment, but they call it the elite equipment, and you don't need elite equipment necessarily for a war. But so one of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make Patriots. That's pretty cool, right? This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I say make them yourself. We haven't informed the company of that yet, but that'll work out all right. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. But they'll be able to do it. You'll be able to figure that out. Most countries couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I said that to most countries, they wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But this is a very ingenious group. And what I like about that, it's a defensive situation as opposed to an offensive. But I think one of the things you might want to be talking about is that. That's what I heard. Little birdie told me that.
On Iran, can you clarify, does the end of the ceasefire mean that we are back to a full-scale military conflict?
Look, they violate the agreement every day. They lie, they cheat, they kill people. They've been killing people for 47 years. They knocked out the SS Cole. We lost, 200 people more. That was a long time ago. For 47 years, no president did anything about that. Well, Obama actually gave them vast amounts of money. You'd like this. He gave them a plane load of money, $1.7 billion in green cash. They loaded up a Boeing 757. Remember the old 750? It was a beautiful plane loaded up with cash. They took all the seats out, and they took all of the cash from Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. banks. They had no money. They took every ounce of cash, put it in, flew it to Iran, and gave them the money. I wonder what these guys thought of when the door opened and cash fell out of this big plane, beautiful plane. And then on top of that, they gave them billions and billions of dollars. And by the way, they gave it to the wrong country, frankly. You want to know the truth. And it began. That was pretty much the Obama deal. That was one of the worst tragedies that happened. That's what happened in the Middle East. That deal set back that whole situation. They went with it. Frankly, they picked the wrong country. They picked the wrong country. POC. What a terrible deal. I call it the Obama nuclear waste deal, because what he did with that deal is he caused tremendous hardship in the Middle East. It was a terrible thing to do. And we've been just the opposite. Our deal is a wall to a nuclear weapon. His deal was a road to a nuclear weapon. They'll never build a nuclear weapon under our deal, but I don't know if we're going to have a deal. We may just do it without a deal, because you know what? It's easier. Because these people, they lie and they cheat, and you have an agreement, and they'll go outside. For instance, they agreed, well, we'll never have a nuclear weapon. They agreed. Then they go outside, they have a news conference where they leak that we never discussed the subject. Now, who would believe we never discussed the subject? Because for me, that's 99.9% of what we're doing. It's denuclearization of Iran, okay? So when you ask, our guys can continue. You know, Steve is great, and Jared, all the guys. They know him very well. Yeah, actually, they're working on your stuff, too. I wonder which. I picked two beauties. You know what? We settled 8 wars. I got a couple of beauties here. But Steve's great, and Jared's great. You know, they're the right guys. And we'll see what happens. But I will say this. Iran, they've misbehaved for 47 years. They've killed our soldiers, they've killed our people, and they've killed a lot of people all over the Middle East and elsewhere. And the roadside bomb was their preferred, the preferred weapon was by Soleimani, the roadside bomb, where it would explode under a truck. We actually built trucks with floors, steel this thick. And then all they did was they made bigger bombs. And we have young guys around, not walking around because they have no legs, but their legs were blown off, their arms were blown off, their face was blown off, and they live because of modern medicine. You can do anything, but they're living like in hell. Their whole life changed because of Iran. And that was 96% of the people that used that, they were made in Iran. And so we have a score to settle to.
Mr. President, you say that President Putin is ready to finish this war. What if he doesn't? Are you ready to put pressure on Russia? Are you ready to
we
put
have
more
a lot
sanctions?
of pressure. We have a lot of pressure on President Putin. You know, I don't think he likes what's going on. I don't think he's thrilled with what's happening. There's a lot of pressure on President Putin to get it done. I think there's pressure on everybody to get that one done. A lot of pressure.
Mr. President, what's your security guarantee for Ukraine?
The guarantee?
Yeah, security guarantee for
the
Ukraine.
Security guarantee you're talking about? I mean, not that we want to do it. We'll do it to save lives. Look, Ukraine's very far away. We have an ocean separating us. What I'm doing is I'm trying to save lives. A lot of lives are being lost. I also think that it's a country with great potential. I think if this kind of brain power can go toward rebuilding the country instead of fighting a war, I think that country is going to do fantastically well. And likewise, Russia, look, they're devoting a lot of energy. Do you have a question for President Putin, please?
Пане президенте, чи можете ви сказати...
Do you have a question for President Putin? Not so much. What would you like to ask him? Because I'm going to ask him that question.
I have a question. Last year you called Russia a paper tiger, referring that they're not doing that.
Who did I call?
I'm from Telegraph TV, Ukrainian media.
No, give us a question, not for Zelensky. Give us a question for Putin. Because I'm speaking to him today.
Yeah.
Why is he attacking a good, hard question?
When will he end this war?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever asked him that question. I'm going to ask him that question.
Panie Prezydencie,
Mr. President, what's the status of a trade deal between the U.S.
Say it?
and Ukraine? What's the status
By the
of
way,
a trade
I will tell you, though, he's going to tell you that he wants it ended as soon as he can end it. He wants it ended. He wants to end it soon. And I ask him, and we talk. I talk to him a lot. I talk to him a little bit less, but the relationship is very good. But I talk to President Putin a lot. He wants to end the war.
Mr. President,
A lot of people don't believe that.
Doesn't he
What's
want
the
all of
status
you?
of a trade deal between Ukraine?
What are President Putin's conditions for ending the war? Do you know what?
Well, they were certain conditions that were a little bit different. I think they're changing. I think they're probably getting a little bit better toward some of the things that you'd like. It's been tougher in Russia. It's been a lot tougher than it was supposed to be. I mean, in all fairness, this was supposed to be this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. You'd have a full country, you know, I mean, just a shame that it happened. But no, this is something that I think Zelensky wants to do and Putin wants to do. They want to get it done. Ask the president that question. Ask him.
Пане президенте, ви знаєте, на яких зараз умовах Володимир Путін готовий завершувати війну в Україні? Чи ж вони змінились?
Go ahead.
No, I don't know what I don't know what conditions Putin now wants for this peace. So I think that they are changing in any way because at the very beginning of full-scale war, he was stronger, and now I think he is losing initiative on the battlefield. I think his army, but that's why I think that because of technologies, because it's not the question now of number of people. People, our heroic people, are very important. But now it's not the question of only number of people. First of all, people and technologies. People with technologies. Now I think that we have better steps, technological steps further than Russia, maybe quicker. Because they produce a lot of different things which are tough, strong against us, but we are quicker. And that's why I think that now initiative moved to our hands. Not totally, but moved. We are trying to move this war to the sky from the battlefield. That's why we now began to control the battlefield. This is very important. It's difficult when you have less people to move them back, but we found another way how to do it, to cut their logistic for their army. It's about weapon, petrol, diesel, without massive human losses. That is the difference between us, by the way. Russia is, I mean, this
He's got a lot of support. I just left the room with, where they have, I mean, mostly European, you have Canada, but mostly European countries. And they have great support for Ukraine, and really great support. One of the things you talk about questions for Putin, but one of the things that I talked to him about was where would you want to meet? And he said ideally in Moscow. I said you're not going to meet in Moscow. It just doesn't work. You can't do that. But he'll meet, and Zelensky's going to meet. And something's going to happen that's going to be positive. And I hope it's going to happen soon, because they have to, number one, lives, but number two, building your country, because it's got a tremendous future, in my opinion. Yeah.
Where would it be held, and when would that happen?
I don't know.
Mr. President,
President Putin said, I would love to meet in Moscow. And I said, I don't think, I have to put myself in his position. I don't know that he'd go to Moscow. Maybe he would. Would you go to Moscow?
It's difficult. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones there. That's right.
It's dangerous.
Europe.
No, it's hard. It's hard to go to Moscow.
Mr. President,
I didn't want to ask him that question.
Mr. President, how to ensure that Ukraine will not be attacked again by Russia?
What about?
How to make sure that Ukraine will not be attacked by Russia again?
Look, you mean in the future?
Yes.
You mean after there's an agreement? Well, we're going to work on a security guarantee and Russia respects us a lot, and we're going to work on some kind of a security. If we can make the right deal, we'll help Europe. I mean, Europe is going to be watching it. But we're going to be helping them, and we'll work on some kind of a security package that will make sure. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that if we make a deal, Russia is going to be very happy, and they're going to get on with other things. They have, by the way, as a country too, they have tremendous potential. They have tremendous land, valuable land that they can do things with, and they have tremendous potential. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see, that question is, oh, they're going to attack again. I don't see it at all. I think they've had it. This has been going on for almost 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I mean, it's a tribute because it's a bigger country, strong country, and it's an amazing tribute. Anything else?
With the Patriot missiles, President Zelensky has said that Ukraine needs Patriot missiles now. Over 50 Ukrainians have died in recent airstrikes just in the last few days. So in addition to these production licenses, which will take time, would you consider providing any to Ukraine immediately?
We have Patriots, but we don't have that many. We need them for ourselves too, you know. Some, but I think they can produce them pretty quickly. Once we explain it, we'll bring the company here. They work with the company. They have a great ability to produce weapons, pretty complex weapons.
Will you go to Ukraine?
President, do you have any deadline?
Will you go to Ukraine?
I would, yeah.
Do you have any deadline when you want to reach
I'd rather have the war be over.
When will it happen? Do you have any
I'm
deadline?
not sure Secret Service would be thrilled.
Are you willing
Putin doesn't stop war. I think the people are incredible. And, I mean, like Kiev, it would be nice to get it before any more damage is done, to be honest. It's such a beautiful city, right? And, yeah, I would go to Ukraine at the right time.
Do you have any deadline when you want to reach a deal between Ukraine and Russia? Do you have any deadline in that regard?
No, I don't have a deadline. You can't have a deadline. It's too much going on. But I think you're going to have a deal. I think I've been very good. We had certain deals like Azerbaijan and some of the deals that we made, and they've been going on for 32 years. And they said it's an impossible thing to get them solved. Eight different deals. Even in the Congo, it was. Think of it. You have the Congo and Rwanda. That was 14 million people dead, a lot of them with machetes. It's a horror. We got that one solved, or it flares up every once in a while, I must say. But we got deals done that weren't doable. But if you look at India and Pakistan, they were at it. We get that. We get them done, and when we get them done, I find that people are not anxious to go back into it. I think we'll have you once mentioned the word security guarantee in the Oval Office. So. Yep. And, I think they're going to need some kind of a security guarantee, but we're going to work with them. That's important. I think he thinks that's a very important thing.
The security guarantees are very important.
And they'll live by it.
Partially, President said about Patriots and licenses. The Patriot system is the best, in the world for today. The best anti-ballistic system. So we used a lot of...
That's the best.
Yeah, the best one. And it was, checked everything during the war. So this is true. So with all respect to other partners, we are thankful for all the systems.
Well, they had different systems in Venezuela. Yeah. So Venezuela had systems that didn't work. Yeah. We didn't have one plane shot down. We didn't have one. We had one helicopter operator who was incredible. He landed it perfectly, and his leg was almost blown off. And we gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor because very few people could have landed that. You land them with your feet, really, more than anything else. And he landed it. He was really in bad shape. And at the State of the Union, we gave him. He was a handsome guy, big handsome guy, but we gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor at the State of the Union. So, look. He wants to get it done, and we're going to get it done.
What's the status on a drone deal between Ukraine and the U.S.?
What's that?
What's the status of a drone deal between Ukraine and the U.S.?
Well, we would buy their drones, and we make drones. We make great drones, but they have an ability to make a lot of them, which is, right, Marco, amazing that in a war situation, they make them. They make them in basements. They make them wherever the hell you have a little shelter, even if you don't have shelter, I suspect, right? It's an amazing ability. Very few Well, that's why I say with the Patriots, they would be able to do it. Most countries would not be able. They don't have the talent. You have very talented people. So, yeah, I think we're going to make that deal. You know, if we made that deal, we'd have great protection. I love the protection. Think if you had a lot of Patriots, you'd never be hit. And as an example, in Kiev, where they get hit with missiles, those missiles, like what I said about the Abraham Lincoln, the missiles would be shot down. Yeah. So, and I think you'd start making them pretty quickly. Right? You like the idea?
No, it's a great idea.
I think everybody likes that one.
As part of security guarantees, are you ready to close the skies in case Russia attacks again?
Close what?
To close the skies over Ukraine in case Russia.
It's been
As a part of security guarantees, are you ready to impose a no-fly?
If it's necessary, yeah. I mean, look, I tell you, when we have a deal, we're going to have a deal. Security guarantee or no security guarantee. If we have a deal, we're going to have a deal. We're not going to have to worry about what you're saying. We're going to have a deal. I think if we come to a solution, which I think we will, we're going to have a deal. Now, we want to make sure the deal sticks. Some people don't think it will. I think it will. I'm sure it will. I'm not sure it will with Iran. If we make a deal with Iran, I'm not sure that will stick.
May I ask you, what does your...
Because I found them to be very dishonorable people. Yeah.
Are you going to reimpose the
I
naval
don't find that with
blockade?
him. And I mean, I don't want to upset him, but everything I've done with President Putin has been okay. It's been good. He's going to say, oh, but I would expect you to say that, but that's good. I don't think anything's going to be broken, and we're going to do a security guarantee in case it is. But with Iran, 47 years, this should have been done by another president a long time ago, or somebody else, another country. But they got stronger and stronger, and now they're weak.
Are you going to reimpose the naval
Don't
blockade
forget,
on
we
Iranian
knocked out
ports?
159 ships in 1 week. That's good even for you, right? 159. Their entire navy is at the bottom of the sea. And now they have little boats, little tiny boats that go around. And we knocked about 28 of them out last night with the same weapon we use for the drug people. You know, drugs are down, by the way, drugs by sea are down 97%. Meaning nobody wants to get into those boats and take drugs into. They're down 97%. And we're using the same thing for the mine boats. You know, they like to drop mines in. And we hit a lot of them last night, like 28. We knocked out 28 boats last night, little ones. That's all they have is little ones.
Are you going to try to take out more tonight?
Will we go tonight? You know, normally I wouldn't tell you. But you know what? There's not a thing they can do about it. So the answer is probably.
President Trump.
Terrible military strategy. He just said he's going tonight. Yeah, they deserve it.
President Trump, what is the effectiveness of last night's attack? What message does that send to what's left of the Iranian?
Which attack are you talking about?
The attack that you guys had on Iran last night. The strikes last night?
Oh, I think it has a tremendous impact. Well, first of all, we took out additional, you know, they were trying to rebuild their radar, and they had about 60% built. Now they have to start all over again. Look, we're not attacking at the highest level. The highest level of the bridges, which we can knock down. I would say in one day we knocked down every single bridge in Iran. There's not a thing they can do about it. Their electric manufacturing facilities, right? Their electric plants where they make their electricity there. We will, if we have to, we'll take them out. I don't want to do that, but if we have to, we'll take them out. They have desalinization plants. We'll take them out if we have to. I hate to do that. That's probably the one I would like not to do least. We attacked Carg Island last night. We knocked out a piece. I said, don't touch the oil, because maybe we'll take over Carg Island. You know, we may take over Carg Island. There's not a thing they can do about it. But I said, don't hit the pipes. Just hit everything else. And they hit it. They may hit it again tonight. So, you know, as for your question, normally I'm not that way, but they really deserve it because they're saying they want to make a deal, but they don't. You know, they asked for a timeout. They wanted to go to the funeral of Khomeini. And I said, give it to them. And they start shooting missiles. I mean, it was a crazy thing. Now, we did kill him. Yeah, so I guess you have to look at it that way. But the funeral took place, and they wanted to have a period of time. And they also asked that we not kill them. And we said, we're not going to kill you. They were worried we'd kill them during the funeral. I mean, if you can believe it, what a crazy... Did you ever think I'd be doing this for a living? Marco, did anybody ever think I'm doing... Maybe Pete, but this wasn't supposed to be for me. Pete loved this stuff from day one. But they said to us, please don't kill us during the funeral. I said, I won't. And we didn't do anything. In fact, we made it safe for them, actually. And what happens? They try and knock out two ships, a Saudi and I guess Kuwait, right? Kuwaiti? Oh, no, Qatari. In addition, really three.
Three, yes, sir.
So you had three of them. And they're just, I don't know. I just don't know with them. A lot of people say they're very dishonorable people and they can't keep a deal. So we'll see. Now, as to whether or not Steve Witkoff, Jared, and JD and everybody working on that will talk, I guess they can talk, but I'm not seeing it with them. With the people. My whole life is deals. I don't see it. I don't see it with them.
Well,
and there may be a big attack, and it'll knock out a lot of stuff. We don't knock out nothing. We knock out a lot. Pete, do you want to tell them about last night?
Yes, sir. Last night, as you said, a lot of small craft that they were trying to harass shipping with, so that was a big part of what we targeted. Underground facilities where they were storing drones or missiles, coastal defense sites, radar sites, surveillance sites, anything used to harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. So anything they thought they had rebuilt or capability they were using was a target last night. And tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper, because that's the consequence.
And we may put down the blockade. We may put it back, the blockade. And it'll only be a blockade for Iran. Anybody else can have whatever they want. Now, of course, they'll drop some mines if they can, if they can do it. But it's hard because we're taking out those little boats now with the same weapon we used to take out the drug lords and the boats coming in by sea. Think of it, 97%. For years, we had fentanyl and all the other drugs coming in from different countries, including Venezuela. And it was, they'd arrest them, they'd bring them to a court, they'd be released, and they'd be back on another boat the next. 97%. What was done in the past had no impact. 97% drugs down coming in by sea. And now we're going to start doing it by land. The land is easy when we had to do sea first. And nobody, I think the 3% of the people that still do that, I think they're the bravest people in the world. We should probably give them a medal for bravery. Because and we're using the same exact missile to take out the mine drop. They call them mine droppers. But we have minesweepers, and one of the things that came up today is that European nations, the NATO group, they're sending minesweepers. We don't need them now. We have pretty much the mines that cleared up, but they'll probably drop some more. They're evil people. They're sick people. They're mentally disturbed people, and it should have been done 47 years ago. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
This way, please.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Keep moving. Thank you, Thank you. Thank you, guys.
He's done a really fantastic job as president. He's unified the country in a very short period of time. I'd say like a year and a half, about a year and a half. And right from the beginning, it was a real mess. It was a very disjointed place, and he's brought it together. He's a strong person. He's a great leader. He's respected by everybody, including me. And we're proud to have him together. We're just here to talk a little bit. We released sanctions from the country, which really, I think, was a big boost. Sanctions was a very important thing. And we're proud of the job he's doing. Syria's become a very stable, it's amazing. In a short period of time, it's really been stabilized. And we're proud of that. And it's a big part of the Middle East Syria had one of the great cultures, the professors and lawyers and doctors. It had one of the great cultures of any country, not just Middle East. And then it went through this terrible period of time. But it's a country that a lot of people are very proud of, and they're proud of the job he's done. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Like to say something?
في الحقيقة نحن حققنا إنجاز كبير في تحرير سوريا وإسقاط النظام السابق.
We have made a great achievement in the toppling of the former regime.
وكما ذكر فخامة الرئيس خلال سنة ونصف حققنا إنجاز كبير في توحيد البلاد ووضع على السكة الصحيحة من التنمية والاقتصاد.
And as President Trump said, in a year and a half, we made an achievement in bringing the country together, unifying the country and put it back on track.
هذا بفضل الشعب القوي، الشعب السوري اللي تكلم عنه فخامة الرئيس ترامب.
Of course, this is due to our strong people, the strong Syrian people that President Trump talked about.
القرار التاريخي اللي قام فيه الرئيس ترامب برفع العقوبات عن سوريا.
Then the historic decision that the President Trump has taken by lifting the sanctions of Syria.
وأيضا مساعدة كل الأصدقاء المحبين في المنطقة من تركيا من دول الخليج من كل المنطقة.
As well as the help of friendly countries and the loving countries in the region, Turkey and other countries in our neighborhood.
الشعب السوري يشكر جميعا رئيس ترامب.
The entire Syrian people thanks President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proud of you. You have any questions?
Mr. President, are you going to remove Syria from the state sponsor of terrorism list?
I think I will, yeah. I think I will. Why wouldn't I? He's done a great job. Maybe he would have brought that up in a little while. That's a good question, yeah. Any problems with that? I think we should. Yeah, I will.
Do you still want Syria to help with Hezbollah in Lebanon?
They could help. We'll find out. I think we're making a lot of progress.
Mr. President,
They could help.
Mr. President,
He would do a very good job.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has been critical of aspects of your relationship in the last couple of days with President Erdogan of Turkey. He said that Erdogan has imperial ambitions on neighboring countries, presumably including Syria.
Well, he hasn't been involved with Syria. If you think, he hasn't been involved with Israel at all. And he's left it alone. I wouldn't say he's a friend, because he's not a friend of, as you know, of Netanyahu, of Bibi. They don't get along, I think. But, for me, he's been great. Look, Turkey's been fantastic and a fantastic ally. They're also a NATO country. And Israel, we've done, no president's done as much for Israel as I have. Nobody even close. If you look at, just look at all the things with Jerusalem, all the different things that we've done. The Golan Heights, did things. Nobody has ever done anything for Israel like me. And we've made tremendous progress. And we've made a lot of progress with Iran, too. Wiped out their military, but they should have been done 47 years ago.
And if I could, do you think that that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be reelected? There's an election coming in Israel, or would you like to see new blood?
I can tell you this: he's been a great wartime president. We worked as Prime Minister. So we worked with each other very closely, and we went through a very big thing. We did a big thing together, and in my opinion, he's been a great wartime Prime Minister. I don't know anything about his politics. I'm not sure. I would think he should be popular because he did a very good job. We had and have a very good relationship, but he was a great wartime Prime Minister.
President,
if you had other Prime Ministers, you know what? They wouldn't be in Israel right now. You know that? They wouldn't be. It would have been blown to pieces by Iran. If you had a weak Prime Minister, you wouldn't have. And if you had a different president, I guarantee there wouldn't be. And Israel wouldn't exist today if you didn't have me as president.
President Trump,
you said
data from the Energy Information Administration revealed that U.S. crude oil production set a new record in the month of April under your leadership.
That's right.
Why is it important to keep hitting numbers like this at this moment in time? Why is it important that you were able to get this done and keep it on this trajectory?
Well, when we decided to do this, it's called the denuclearization of Iran. We have to do it. We have to have. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon, and they admit they're never going to have it. But they behave badly. Always behave badly. There's something wrong with them. But when we did this, we thought oil would go much higher, and it didn't go very high. And now it's coming way down, and you're going to see oil drop very low. Now, maybe we'll do some other things that could lift it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to lift it a lot at all. I think oil is coming down. There's tremendous amounts of oil. Scott, what would you say about that?
Yes, so record production under President Trump in his first term. Now in his second term, the U.S. is an energy superpower. It's why we weathered the conflict better than anyone else. And just this weekend, Bloomberg wrote that there is an oil glut out there. And we think that safe, secure American oil maybe even should trade at a premium to the rest of the world.
So we have, if you add it up, you take Saudi Arabia and take Russia, two big oil producers. We do more than twice as much. We do more than, so think of it, Saudi Arabia, Russia put together, we do more oil, and that's not including Venezuela. It's pretty amazing. And this all happened during my term. We started it at the first term. Biden blew it because he had no idea what he was doing. But we are producing more oil right now than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined by almost double. Okay, any other questions?
Mr. President.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
You said that dealing with the Iranians is a waste of time. How do you plan to get the nuclear material and the nuclear assurances that you want?
Well, we've already got the nuclear material because it's so far underground, nobody's going to be able to get it except us because we have the equipment that can get it. But I call it the nuclear dust. The nuclear material is so far down underneath the mountain, and now that's been determined, that it would take massive machinery that we have that no other country has.
Mr.
They can't get
So
it.
you have no plans to go in, boots on the ground?
Why would I go in now? I'd go in when they're completely either eliminated or whatever happened, or an agreement's made.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if you cut off trade with Spain, does that mean that you're going to have to renegotiate a trade agreement with the EU?
With who?
With the EU, any past trade agreements you already have?
We're going to see what happens with the EU. You know, they've treated us very badly for years, and they took advantages. Look, we're very close to those countries, right? And to everybody in the EU. The problem is they took advantage of the United States for years. It's like him. They took advantage of Syria. He's bringing it back. And I'm bringing the United States back. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We have the biggest investment. 19.2 trillion is being invested right now in the United States. 3 trillion was the number, the record. Under Biden and under the past administration, they had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have 19.2 trillion in 12 months. Think of that. We have the largest amount of money being invested in a country in history. Pretty amazing. 19.2 trillion with a T. So, and they're building factories all over the country. I think yesterday Toyota announced they're leaving Mexico. And they're coming, I'm not that Mexico's thrilled about it, but they're leaving Mexico and they're coming to the United States to build what will be, I believe, the largest automobile plant either in the world or at least in this country.
Mr. President,
on oil prices
Quick
today.
domestic question. You announced on your social a couple days ago that Walmart was cutting the price for ground beef by 15%. How big of a deal is that for American customers this summer?
So Walmart has agreed to cut their prices very substantially because things are going down. We're getting it down. We inherited very high prices. We inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, or 48 years to be exact, but I don't believe that. I think it's in history. So under Biden, they had tremendous inflation. Under the Democrats, we had tremendous inflation, record-setting inflation. And now, inflation is way down. Everything is great. We have, the prices are coming down, but we inherited, you know, they talk about they use different words to describe it. They had very high prices. The prices are coming down. And when the oil comes, you know, the oil is coming way down. The oil dropped by 50% in the last month. And when that comes down, it brings everything else down. No, it's affordability. And they came up with the word affordability. You know, like, I take over, I'm there for 1 day, and they say, affordability, affordability. I said, I've been here for one. Remember with the eggs, the first day or 2 days later, I have my first news, and they talked about eggs. They said the eggs have gone up 5 times. I've been in office for 1 day. And I said, well, we'll have to do something. In fact, they told me not to order eggs for the Easter egg hunt at the White House. I should use plastic. I said, we're not doing that. And by the time we came, that was a couple of months later, that happened, and we ordered thousands of eggs. And right now, eggs are way down. The prices are way down, and they're coming down further. So they made up a phony word that they used. They said affordability. They're the ones that caused the affordability prices. I did, but I brought it down, and the oil is coming down very big.
Mr. President, Brent crude is up slightly today on the announcement that
we hit them. Anytime we hit them, it goes up a little bit, $2.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you meant when you said that we might see oil prices lift a little in response to?
Yeah, $2, very little. It's down from, let's say, $135 down to $69. It's dropping, and everything else drops. As oil goes, so goes everything else. But anytime if we hit Iran, oil goes up a little bit. It's all right.
Mr. President, do you think Israel...
We're de-nuking it. We're de-nuking Iran. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. All right, one more question.
Sir, do you think Israel should withdraw troops from southern Lebanon?
Well, I talked to Bibi about that. Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they want to. I don't think it's a question of me. I think it's a question they want to. And they're getting along with Lebanon. They're signing deals with Lebanon. First time ever. Marco, talk about that if you'd like.
Yeah, we have an agreement and that's the goal at the end. Obviously, Israel's concerned about their security. But the president did a great job bringing those two countries together for the first time.
It's a big thing. First time in many years, right? So we have a deal with Israel and Lebanon. And they'll leave. And I think it's going to work out very well. But we're here for this because Syria has turned around as fast as I've ever seen. Well, actually, I turned the United States around very fast, too. I inherited from a man who was not smart, not a smart person. We inherited from a man where they were running this country so badly with the open borders. Think of it, 25 million people allowed into our country. And that includes 11,888 murderers, most of whom murdered more than one person, okay? We got most of them out, or we have them in jail. And we've done a great job. Washington, D.C. now is considered one of the safest cities in the country. If he came to Washington, D.C. a year and a half ago, he'd fear for his life, even though he never feared for his life before, because it was very dangerous. But somehow his territory might have even been a little more dangerous. I joke because, he comes from a rough environment. Would you say that's right, Tom Barrett? It's sort of funny to think. I don't think he'd be too concerned with Washington a year and a half. But we had a very, very unsafe Washington, D.C., and now it's one of the safest cities in the country. We put the military in. Washington went from being an unsafe to one of the safest cities, and crime is down 94%. We don't play games. And we removed over 5,000 career criminals, many of whom came in through the open borders of Joe Biden. We did the same thing with Memphis, Tennessee. We did the same thing with in Louisiana. You have to speak to the governor, because New Orleans, the crime rate is down 78% in a little while, and they had the best Mardi Gras they've ever had. So we're doing a good job, and he's done a great job too. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
That's a lot of press. Wow. Well, it's important stuff. And our team out here, they've all become stars, superstars actually. But we want to thank you very much. We've had a tremendous time and I think a great success. And we just concluded a very successful NATO summit here in Turkey. And I want to thank President Erdogan, who's really a great man. He's a great leader. He's a friend of mine, been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a strong person, a very strong personality, and that's why he run such a successful and good country, and really I would say a great country. Militarily, he's very powerful. People leave him alone, but he's really done a fantastic job. And from the moment we got off the plane, you look at the airports were beautiful. They built a new terminal for our arrival. Everything was beautiful. And so I just want to thank President Erdogan, who's done a fantastic job in Turkey. And I also want to thank NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Mark is an extraordinary person, smart, great leader. It's not easy leading so many leaders like that. Got a lot of leaders, and they're strong personalities, every one of them. And Mark does an unbelievable job. Couldn't find anybody better. I just want to say there was tremendous love in that room. The press got to see the sitting, but they didn't get to see the speaking. And I actually said, it's too bad the press couldn't see this, because every one of them spoke for a little while, and I spoke for a little while. And it's a lot of speeches. We kept it short, but it's too bad the press couldn't have seen what we were doing in that room, because it was very smart people, and they have a lot of good in their heart, not evil, good. And they're doing a great job for their country. The world is doing well. We have, as you know, the oil is down. We'll see whether or not we keep it down. We should keep it down. We're doing things that should have been done 47 years ago with Iran. And I just want to say that throughout my first term and over the past 18 months, the United States has led a historic effort to dramatically increase the defense spending and to have equipment that no other country in the world has. When you look at Venezuela, when you look at Iran, essentially demolished their military in a couple of weeks. They had a good military, they had a good Navy, they had 159 ships, everyone's at the bottom of the sea. They had hundreds of airplanes, they're all gone. They were all lying burned up on the runways. They were totally decimated, their radar's gone. Everything's gone, their leaders are gone, frankly. And their combat capability is pretty low. They have a small percentage of missiles left. They have some of the launchers, missile launchers left, call them launching pads, but most of that's been destroyed too. So we have the strongest military in the world by far, not even close, everybody admits it. Last year's summit in the Netherlands was great also, and we achieved an unprecedented agreement to increase the annual defense spending, and it's the benchmark, raising it from 2% to 5% of GDP, which everybody said was impossible. And now they're all thanking me, and most of the countries have agreed to it. We have a couple of that didn't, but I have a feeling they're going to, and pretty quickly. In fact, today they were very positive. One of them in particular was, I didn't think, a good team player. Today was a great team player. As all of the leaders understand very well, the United States remains by far the largest contributor to NATO, monetarily and maybe otherwise, and the strongest military anywhere in the world. And they respect us as a country. Again, they didn't respect us 2 years ago. They laughed at us. NATO laughed at us. Everybody laughed at us. They don't laugh anymore. There's no more laughing. This year we invested a record $1 trillion in our armed forces, and we're going to be asking for $1.5 trillion coming up. We have the money being spent on the best equipment anywhere in the world. In the working session this morning, we discussed the progress other members are making toward the 5% target, and they're making great progress. Many of these countries are very rich, by the way. We don't have to feel sorry for them. But it doesn't mean they're properly protected. There's a big difference. Some have truly answered the call, and others are making big changes and will be answering the call. I think I can say in all cases they're going to be answering the call. And we'll be taking in over $1 trillion a year toward defense. And that's a tremendous amount of money. It's a big up. They were at 2% They were actually at 1%. I got them to 2%. Then I wanted to get them to 5%. And we got up to 5% the last time. And they're, just again, if you could have seen the respect and the love in the room, and it's love really for the country, for our country. I don't want to say me because you'll say, oh, he's so conceited. He's such a conceited person. But they do. I mean, they like the job I'm doing. They said, sir, we love you. These are grown people saying that. Isn't that nice? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get to me. And in the way they did, because there was tremendous unity in that room. And I urge all nations to accelerate their plans to get the benchmark as quickly as possible. The benchmark is going to be that 5% number. That's the number it should have been for years. As a result of the commitment we achieved last year, defense spending of other NATO members surged by more than almost $150 billion in 2025, and much of that money is being spent on American-made equipment. They all want American-made equipment. We're pushing very hard to have the defense companies, and they're great. We make the best equipment. The Patriots and the Tomahawks and everything we have is considered to be the best. Not by me, it's everybody wants it. I wish we made it faster because we could sell as much as we could make. And as you know, I had Lockheed and every one of the companies, all of the companies, which are Raytheon as an example, Boeing. So many of those great companies are now building plants. They had big plants, but they were using them 24/7. I said, that's not the way to do it. You have to build more plants. You don't have to just go overtime. No tax on overtime. Remember that, please? No tax on overtime. Those people are happy. But they were doing literally 24 hours to get the Tomahawks done and the Patriots done and all of the other defensive and offensive equipment done. It's the most sought after equipment in the world. You saw that with Venezuela, where they had a lot of great equipment. It wasn't ours, and it didn't work. Our equipment works, but we have to produce it faster for other countries. For everybody, including ourselves, we have to produce it faster. So we think within a year and a half max, we'll be, instead of waiting for a year or 2 years, we'll be having it on a 2-week wait, maybe a 1-week wait. That's what I want. And it'll do really well. A lot of people are, just waiting. They're waiting. They want to get this defensive equipment, maybe in particular the defensive equipment, but offensive and defense. As much of that money is being spent on American-made equipment. That's the money that the European and Canada are spending, European countries mostly, and Canada. And they're spending that with the United States, largely. And it's American-made, made in the USA, as we say. Weapons, munitions, supporting thousands of American jobs. This will increase. We have the highest number of jobs. Right now, we have the most people working in the United States that we've ever had in the history of our country. We have the biggest investment ever made, $19.2 trillion. That's 6 times more than we've ever had. Think of it, 6 times. And what did that were tariffs. Without the tariffs, I think we would have done fine, like at about 2 or 3. The last administration had much less than $1 trillion invested for 4 years. We have $19.2 trillion invested in 1 year. We haven't gone into the extra almost a half a year, 1.5 years. Those numbers won't come out for a little while. So we have 19.2 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion with a T, invested in plants and equipment that's being built all over the country. Eli Lilly is building plants, big drug, Merck, all of them. The drug companies are building. The car companies are building like crazy. In fact, as you probably saw a big announcement yesterday, Toyota is leaving Mexico and they're going to build one of the biggest car manufacturing plants in the world in Texas. That's because of the tariffs, because we don't mind if you build in Mexico, but if you build in Mexico, you have to pay 25% tariff. If you build in Japan or if you build in any place, China is a much higher tariff. It's 100% tariff because we don't want to lose our jobs. We don't want to have our workers lose their jobs. We have the largest number of plants being built for the most money ever in the history of our country. Car plants, AI plants, and all other plants, pharmaceutical plants, chips. We're not giving anything. All we're saying is, if you don't start, they will give them a year and a half to 2 years to build their plant. If they don't have that, they have to pay 100%, 200%, even 250%. If they make a chip, or if they make a car, if they make pharmaceuticals. So the pharmaceutical companies are moving in at record levels. There's never been anything like what's happening. Let me put it a different way, put it to you in a more broad fashion. There has never been anything like has happened with this country or any other country in the history of the world. There has never been growth. There's never been manufacturing plants being built. We have so many being built. And in the big ones, like AI, some of the AI, we let them build their own electric plants. We force them to build. We don't want it because the old grid that we have wouldn't be able to supply. They need, just as an industry, more energy than the entire country produces right now, when you think of it, which is incredible. So take all of the energy that the United States produces, and that one industry, which is so big, so powerful, it needs more than that. In fact, some people say almost double. So this was my idea. I said, you can never service that. You can't reinvigorate the grid. You can make it better, but nothing like that. You wouldn't be able to build. And we're leading China in AI, well, in just about everything. But we're leading China in AI. Even in TikTok, I was watching somebody say, oh, the TikTok deal, it's so bad well, because they say the deal was incredible, but they think the word that gets out is bad, except the numbers just came out, and I'm #1 on TikTok, and all I do is talk about communism, right? So it's sort of good. I use it to get elected, too. But, you have to get your word out. But the numbers came out just a little while ago, and I was #1, some ridiculous number. I'd never heard of numbers like that, but #1. And all these entertainers are number 27, 29. It's crazy. I don't even understand myself, but that means that my word's getting out about how great our country is, how successful our country is, and how bad communism is, and how bad these lunatics are that are running for election that don't sound good, don't think good, and don't look good. I don't see any looker. I don't see anybody with the look. You need the look, I guess. You need something, but they don't have it. And I think they'll fade fast. And it's not social democrats. This is not a social these are communists that are running. And they don't want God. They don't want successful things to happen for our country. They don't want to have a successful country. I think they're sort of crazy. As European nations rebuild their militaries, American equipment will be the largest beneficiary. The defense companies are going to be making most of that equipment. They want the American equipment because it works better. It's not a question of anything else. We make the best equipment in the world. And to that end, I provided other leaders with an update on the steps we're taking to rapidly scale up production in the United States. And they wanted to hear that because they don't really want to get it in 4 years, 5 years. They want to get it like in a week. And we'll actually be at a point like that in the not too distant future with the plants that are being built. The defense plants, it's incredible. Lockheed is building, I think, 5. Some of them are building 3, 4, or 5, and they're big ones. It's going to quadruple the output we have with the munitions and the basic equipment itself, whether it's a Patriot or Tomahawk missile or any of the missiles that we make many missiles, different types, for different occasions. And just today at the summit, we announced $3 billion of new defense investments with U.S. companies. And Lockheed Martin will establish a world-class Patriot missile sustainment facility, a big deal in Europe. They're given a tremendous incentive by Europe to do that. All goes to the benefit of us and Europe because they're getting the best equipment. Northrop Grumman is moving forward with the sale of advanced American drone technology. We're actually the leader in drone tech. A lot of people don't know that. We have the most sophisticated drones in the world. And we're a real, I guess we're the leader, but we'll soon be the leader by many times over. And Lockheed and Rheinmetall are announcing a partnership to build the Army tactical missile systems, which is a big deal. And Anduril is announcing a deal to build their new Barracuda missiles, which is a very highly sophisticated, fast missile, and we're doing that for Poland. Poland's doing very well, by the way, with a very, very good president, great president, I think. All of these agreements directly benefit the U.S. defense industry and base, and what it really does is it means jobs. And again, I have to just say that when Toyota announced yesterday, I wasn't that surprised, but everybody wanted to get that. That's the largest, I think it's going to be the largest plant in the world, car plant, and they're moving into the United States. And again, they're doing that to avoid paying the tariff, because if you build your product here, you pay no tariff. If you don't, you pay a 25% tariff, depending, 35% sometimes 100%, 200%, depending on what the product is. As an example, we're doing great on steel because we charge tariffs. So now all of a sudden the steel industry, which was absolutely dead a few years ago, I revived it in my first term, pretty good. And then they blew it in the Biden term. And what a shame. They just blew it right out the window. They had no idea what they were doing. And I quickly revived it at the beginning of this term, year and a half. And the steel business is through the roof. We don't even make aluminum anymore. Now we're going to have the largest aluminum plant in the world being built in Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 counties, 3 times. And it's great. It's a great state. They're going to be building the largest aluminum plant in the entire world in Oklahoma. It's starting very soon. Over the course of the past 2 days, I had a number of excellent discussions with other leaders at the summit and held productive bilateral meetings with essentially all of them. We had dinner last night, just about all of them were there. President Erdogan of Turkey, as well as President Zelensky, and he just came in, as you probably saw, had a little press conference, and also President al-Shara of Syria, who's doing an unbelievable job in unifying Syria. What a job he's doing. Syria was a mess with what happened with the previous government, you know that. Very dangerous place, and now it's just come together. He's done a fantastic job. People are talking about it. In every conversation, it was clear that America is back, and we're stronger and bigger and better than ever before. We have more jobs, as I said, than ever before. And we're respected again like maybe never before. We are so respected as a country. That's why I wish I told the Secretary General, Mark, I said, it's too bad the press could not see what's happening in this room. You saw the big round circle with all of the leaders of all of those countries. And I don't know, I think they should allow it. The theory is that they will be speaking quite as freely. So many of the presidents, prime ministers, they were all here from NATO, the NATO countries. And in particular, we have to thank the Secretary General Mark Rutte for doing a fantastic job. He really put on a tremendous, his was just something, he's a unifier. He's a tremendous unifier. So I could take a few questions. We've done a few of these already today, so I don't think we should take too many. I don't think we should take, so we're going to keep it a little bit short, and I know a lot of you are going home. Some are going with me. So go ahead, please. Sir, yes. Yes. No. The gentleman right here. The very tall gentleman who's very insecure. He doesn't want to ask the question. He's a handsome guy, but he's very insecure.
It's a military success, and yet the Iran war seems to be a strategic dead end for you. Why are you apparently unable to end the Iran war?
So I think we're doing just the opposite. The Iran war has been a tremendous military success. And, you know, I can only answer the question by saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. I think I was there for one reason that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I call it, we denuclearize Iran, and that's happened. They will never have a nuclear weapon. That stuff is so far down under a mountain. It's a granite mountain that collapsed on top of it. Take months to get it out. I think it's a tremendous success, Iran. And you see the oil prices are lower than they were when I started. And people like to say that, but look, they have no military left. Their Air Force is gone. As I said, their ships are gone. 159 ships are gone. They're at the bottom of the sea. Their radar is gone. Everything's gone. So when you say not a success, it's a tremendous success. The fake news likes to say how well they're doing. They're doing terribly. They have 350% inflation. When the war started, they had like 6%, 5%. They have, they want to make a deal, but they don't know how to make a deal. And then they go around shooting ships at night. I don't like that. You know, they're dealing with very fine people. They're dealing with Steve Witkoff, and they're dealing with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance, and they're dealing with Marco and Scott. They're dealing with great people, but I don't know. I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. But they told us they'd like to go to the funeral of a very a person who was killed a lot of people. Khomeini killed a lot of people over the years. And there for a long time. Don't forget, what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point. But all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. Then they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. It's out all over the place. I'm their number one because they're scum. That's the way they act, and that's the way they've done it for 47 years. But I'm doing what's right for the country. I'm doing really what's right for the world. They have to be stopped. And they've killed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. They killed 52,000 protesters over the last 3 months. So when you say we're not doing well, I think we're doing phenomenally well. Our military has been incredible. Plus, we had a blockade. Did we have a blockade? Did you ever see a blockade work that way? You know, for you that said we're not doing well there, we did great in Venezuela. That was a one-day war, and they're very good military. You know, it's a very military country. We took out one of the worst human beings in the world, Maduro, and he's in jail waiting for trial. But what he did to this country was incredible, including the fact not only the drugs, but he had people pour into the country from prisons. They opened up their prisons. They allowed them to come in. We're getting them out. We're getting them all out. But we have, with the Biden open border policy, with Kamala as your borders are. Remember, she was a border czar, but she never called Border Patrol, never once, and she never went to the border. The border was a disaster. Now it's fixed. It's fixed where we have nobody, and I don't do these numbers. 0 people come in through our border, through our southern border. 0. And that's been announced now every month for the last 12 months. 0. We had millions of people come in, under 25 million people, I think more than that under Biden. And they weren't people that you want, and for the most part, they were drug dealers. They were escaped from, think of it, all the prisons, and I'm not just talking about from South America, I'm talking about from the Congo, I'm talking about from all over the world. The prisons were emptied out. They were emptied out into our country. But they had the worst murderers. We had people allowed in our country that should never, and they walked in through an open border policy. And all I'm saying is that you're lucky we won this election. Yeah, please. Go ahead. Go ahead. No. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iris Tao.
Who you with?
NTD
Why don't you say your name and who you're with? It's always helpful.
Thank you, Mr. President, for doing this. Iris Tao with NTD, with a sister media with the Epoch Times.
Okay.
On communism, you've been issuing a wake-up call to Americans at home about the dangers of communism. And now you're speaking on the world stage. What's your message to people both living under communist and socialist regimes, but also people living under democracies like in Europe and America, who might not have realized how close communism has come to home?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. But look, I want to get the word out because what's forming is communism in the country. And communism's easy to sell. I would be the greatest communist in history. I'd be right up there with Lenin. I'd be as good as anybody. You've got free rent for the rest of your life. What they don't say is that you'll be living in squalor in 12 months. You've got a free house. Would anybody like to have a free house? We'll take it away from somebody. We'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's a disaster. It's been proven to be for thousands of years under different names, but same thing. It's very important. And, you know, it's funny. One of the reasons I do so well with Hispanic people, I set a record, Republicans. I get great numbers for the election, helped me get elected in a landslide, the Hispanics, because a lot of them came from countries that were essentially communist. You know, whether you call them radical socialist or communist is not that much, but there's a little difference. When they say social democrats, we're social democrats, it sounds so nice. It's not nice, it's a very dangerous term. So I do talk about it, and I talk about it on TikTok, and I talk about it everywhere. I talk about it here. And you're right, it has become international, but it's never worked, and it's not going to work. What is working is the United States. So think of it, we have more jobs than we've ever had. People are making more money than they've ever made. I'm talking about workers now. I'm talking about workers. They're making higher salaries than they've ever made before. It's just the best system, and it's got flaws, but everything's going to have a little flaw, but it's been amazing. And when I watch what's happening and I see these lowlifes getting, I mean, they're lowlifes. I watch them. I know good people. I know quality people. These are essentially lowlifes. And when I see what they're talking, I think they're very dangerous in many ways. And I've said it. And then I said, boy, that's a pretty big statement. Then I realized, you know, a couple of people said, I think you're probably right. I think this country, with this thing that's going around, is in more danger than it was during World War I, World War II. If you talk about September 11th, if you talk about Pearl Harbor, that was big danger. I think the concept of us going communist, because one thing that happens when you go communist, you never come back, never comes back. You die in squalor. You die a horrible death. You die in squalor, and it gets very evil and very nasty. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, Tyler Pager with the New York Times. Last month you said Iranian leaders were very rational people, nice people to deal with, strong people, smart people. Today you said they were scum, sick people, and being led by sick people. What changed, and do you think they're...
I got to know them. So I've said that about a lot. Now, when you say rational, I think they're much more rational than level 1, level 2. Level 1 is gone, level 2 is gone. This is level 3. I think they are more rational, but based on their actions over the last week or two, they're not doing a service to the people. And I think more than anything else is I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Mr. President. Steve Sedgwick from CNBC. The oil markets are up today, around about 7% for WTI and Brent as well. The world is taking you at your word, sir, that the MOU is over, that the ceasefire is over. What happens next, sir? Are we on the cusp of a full-scale return to full conflict?
Well, I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon, because that's much more important than the numbers you're talking about. The prices of oil are dropping like a rock. Now they'll be up a little bit, and this will end very quickly. We have an oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the strait, and it's going to drop, and I've predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times. That's how I won 3 elections. I did very well in the second one, won it. It was a rigged election, but I've been right, and oil's coming down. Now, I have to make sure of one thing, that we don't have lunatics having control over nuclear weapons. So we have that now. There's no way they have a nuclear weapon. We have cameras, as an example, on the site that those beautiful B-2s at 1 o'clock in the morning 10 months ago blew up. They blew it up. We have cameras, that's called Space Force. They're in space. But we have cameras that can read the badge of the person going over to a site. Mohammed something. We say it's Mohammed something is there with shovels. Well, shovels won't get you there. The biggest machinery in the world probably won't get you there, if you want to know the truth. It's way, way below. But we're watching that. And if anybody goes there, they get blown up. So nobody's going to touch that. Eventually we'll take it. But what we do have is we have that. That's gone. If we wouldn't have had that, they would have had a nuclear weapon and they would have wiped out Israel. If I weren't president, Israel wouldn't exist. And we did it 2 times. When the JCPOA, the Obama deal, when that was originally conceived, everything went to Iran. 1.7 billion in cash, hundreds of billions of dollars. They thought they could buy peace with these people. You can't do that. So the big thing we have is more important than anything we can talk about is you can't let lunatics have nuclear weapons, and we've stopped that. And that should have been stopped on a couple of other occasions too with different countries, but they didn't do that. Yeah, please.
President Trump. Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with it?
Well, I speak about it a lot because, you know, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 1/10 of 1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10 of 1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me. You're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm #1 on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm #1. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm #1 on. I like being #1 on TikTok better, but I'm #1 on the list for killing. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe, to one of the big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases where we can show it to the people. And we'll be going home by normal methods. But we have it going to Europe, to a couple of bases, actually 1 in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases, stop, so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent. Yeah, please. Go ahead. You want to go? Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President, harici media, Tunç Akkoç, Türkiye. Mr. President, it seems that the war with Iran may start again. What do you expect from your European allies?
No, I don't think it's going to start again. I think it's going to go very quickly. They hit a couple of ships, and so we hit them much harder. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. You know, we hit much harder than they do. We have a lot better equipment than they do. We may even, somebody asked before, do you think you'll hit them tonight? I said, we might. Yeah, we might. But when they hit, we hit. You know, it's what we use their language. We speak their language. No, I don't think so. I think anything that happens is going to be over very quickly. And we'll only make it safer, including for oil. Oil is going to be very free, very easy, and it's going to happen very fast. We have the Hormuz Strait, the boats have pulled out. I mean, there's a gusher of oil right now. We have a lot of oil, and no, anything that happens is going to happen very fast. We're not looking for long term. Okay, go ahead, Red.
You said today, Inez de la Cuetara with MS Now. You said today that countries.
You're with who?
MS Now.
MS Now. That's a failing network. Why would you want to work for them? MS Now. Can you imagine? They wanted to get away. They took the name NBC because they were embarrassed by it. Go ahead, let's go. When do you hear this question?
You said today that countries like Spain, Italy, and the UK were not there for the U.S. and its war with Iran. Should those countries be attacked, will the U.S. be there for them?
Well, I'll tell you what. #1, Spain has been very bad, but you know Italy's been good, and almost all of the countries have been good. They just had a bad moment. They didn't help us. We didn't need the help, but if we would have wanted the help, I said, by the way, if I want help, sir would rather remain on the sidelines, and I didn't like that answer. UK gave an answer that was sort of weirder than that. They went out I said, would you like to help? They said, we do, but we want to wait till the war is over. This was not in the spirit of Winston Churchill. So, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I can only say if there's one word that comes out of today, it's unification. I've never seen anything like it. Every one of those countries, they love us, they love each other. That was tremendous unification. It was a nice thing to say. It was a very fair question, too. Yeah. Green? Yeah, you're wearing green, right?
Thank you, Mr. President. Eda Turul from Haber Global TV, Turkey. Mr. President, after your meeting with President Erdogan, can you tell us whether you and President Erdogan reach an understanding on Turkey's return to the F-35 program and the future of U.S.-Turkey defense cooperation? And do you believe U.S.-Turkey relations are entering a new chapter right now?
Well, I had a great relationship in my first term. You remember Pastor Brunson, and he was put in jail for 35 years, and I called. He was an evangelical hero, actually, very good man. And I called President Erdogan, and he let him out. I didn't pay anything like Obama and Biden pay billions of dollars all the time. I never paid any for anybody. I just tell them, let him out. Let him out. But in this case, I didn't say it the second way. I said it the first way. I said, look, he's a good man. He's highly respected in the evangelical, and I'd like you to let him out. And he was in my office, in the Oval Office the following day, Pastor Brunson. I had a great relationship. When Sleepy Joe Biden got in, bad things happened with a lot of things between the border. Everything was bad. We were laughed at all over the world, and we had a very bad relationship with a lot of countries. I think Turkey was one of those countries. But that changed on November 5th when we had the election. And it's one of our best relationships. We have a great relationship. And they're talking about the F-35 airplane, and it's the best plane, and everybody wants it. And we have to make a decision who we give it to. I mean, my inclination, because he stayed out of, he's not a huge fan of Bibi, and he's not a huge fan of Israel, but he stayed out of that war. He could have gone into that war very easily, and he didn't. At my request, he stayed out of that war. He's been a very good ally. I mean, Marco could tell you we have a very strong relationship with Turkey. You know, it's a very big country. It's a very powerful militarily. It's the second most powerful country in NATO. It's a NATO country. So whether or not we do that, I haven't totally made up my mind. But my inclination is to say, look, he's done everything. He's helped us in so many different ways. And you know who else has been good to us? China. China never came into the war. They get 50% of their oil from Hormuz Strait. They never came into the war. They never said, I'm going to send a ship in 5 destroyers along each side of the ship. They never did. No, President Xi's been great. Everyone's been sort of great, to be honest. You know why? Because they respect our country again. They laughed at our country. They thought we were a bunch of fools. They saw a president that couldn't talk, he couldn't walk. He was a disaster. They lost respect for our country, but now they have more respect for our country than they've ever had before. Thank you all very much. We'll see you back. Thank you very much, everybody. Which car? I can't see anymore. It's gone.
There. I think it's up there. To the left. You get up, I think it's back up to the left there. Have them send it to me on WhatsApp. I'm not sure. Good work. Good work. It's over. I'm done. Get out of the truck. We're pushing. And then he gets back in. I was like, get out. That could be that. I'm not sure. No. And I like checked my phone, and I heard you yelling, and I was like, oh, they should do something. Hopefully, I came fast enough. Yeah, I mean, we got it done. You did. All right, we need to turn in this radio, and then we're getting out of here.